Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. In the 1950s, a boy born with the name Joe Engressia discovers he can control the global telephone system simply by whistling a magic tone. Born blind and hungry for connection, his early obsession with telephones sparks a subculture that went on to shape the future of hacking and modern technology in the 20th century. Told through vivid archival footage, the story of Joybubbles comes to us in his own voice recordings. The film celebrates a visionary who redefined connection and challenged assumptions about disability, identity, and imagination. This enthralling documentary really is infused with the curiosity and wonder that Joybubbles brought to the world. And this film is brought to life by our guest today, the director of Joybubbles, Rachael J. Morrison. Rachael, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thank you.
Very quickly, before we get too far into this, I want to let people know that they can see Joybubbles beginning on Monday, January 26th at the Yarrow Theater in Park City. That's going to be a 6 p.m. screening, so check this out. In the meantime, what a magical story, getting to know Joybubbles and his life and how it plays out. And I know you have a background as a archival producer. This is kind of in your wheelhouse to be looking for stories. What jumped out at you, or how did you discover his life and what this amazing journey he was on?
Yeah, so I read his obituary in the New York Times. So I found out about him when he passed away, unfortunately, but I was just amazed by him. I mean, I didn't know that people were hacking into the analog telephone system. I knew about computer hackers, but I had no idea that there were this whole other group of hackers before computers. And I was interested in, his decision to become Joybubbles, and it was just what an amazing life. So I assumed, because he had a New York Times obituary, that there would be a book written about him, that there would be a documentary about him, that there would be a movie about him. And, I looked things up, and there's things about him, and it's mostly split up. It's like some things about him being Joybubbles, some things about him being, a telephone hacker, which is also called a phone freak. And I mean, really, except for that article at the time, there was nothing that kind of fused those pieces of his life together. But yeah, I just thought about it for a while. I ended up getting in touch with one of the people who was mentioned in the obituary, and that he introduced me to people, and they introduced me to people, and it just kind of all came together over time.
What you described, and I want to get into a more basic description of Joybubbles. It did seem like you found a fair amount of video, a shocking amount considering the story that you just told.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm surprised by how much I found. I mean, it's amazing that he was in the news so much, but most people have not heard about him. So, when he got in trouble for phone freaking, he was like on BBC, ABC, NBC. He went to London and had an interview. He was, all over, like newspapers all over the country, newspapers in England. Yeah, and I just spent years digging for all this stuff. And then he was like in the local news in Minneapolis when he was Joybubbles. He was a story that people, it was a story people wanted to tell when he lived there. So, yeah.
Pretty amazing. Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about him. As I mentioned, he started out as Joe Engressia, and he became Joybubbles in the 1990s. He took on the name of Joybubbles. Such a gentle man. And I mentioned that he was blind at birth, and just a sweet person, but not without, and I don't want to give too much away, but without his own, at times, troubling history.
Yeah.
And I think I think, as we see in the film, he did everything he could to connect with people. And I think it's because of what he went through as a young child. So let's talk a little bit about him, his personality, what made him who he was.
Yeah, I think he was a lonely kid because of circumstances with, his family and other things. And so when he discovered the phone, which is something that his mom showed him when he was, 5 years old, he couldn't believe that there was this thing that would connect him with other people, and it was just in his house. It's sort of like when I discovered the internet. And I was like, whoa, I can go into a chat room and like talk to all these strangers. And so that kind of started his obsession with the phone, which lasted throughout his life. So, he was one of the very first hackers, before computers, hacking the analog telephone system. And he was obsessed with the phone, for two reasons, like the tech side of it and the human side of it. So he wanted to know how the telephone system worked and all the noises and exploring it and hacking it. But then there was the human side and the emotional side and like making friends, connecting with people, and that lasted throughout his life.
Well, let's describe his personality because
Sure.
there is something of a touchstone for him that he connects with later on in his story, which in my mind, watching him, is he's kind of the perfect embodiment of his, I'll call him one of his idols for sure.
Oh, sure. Mr.
Yeah.
Rogers?
Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he really, even before he discovered Mr. Rogers, he had that kind of vibe, like a vibe of kindness, just
Yeah.
kindness throughout his
Yeah.
life. And like he really didn't let anything get him down. And he had a lot of reasons to be upset, angry, and he didn't let that happen. He kept going. And yeah,
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about Mr. Rogers recently and his message of kindness and like how much we need him right now, you
Yeah.
know?
Didn't mention something I think is important to how Joybubbles got to where he was and all the
Right.
things that he did. He was exceedingly intelligent, exceedingly willing to reach out to other people without fear of rejection. In a way, he craved that, and he exuded this kind of Mr. Rogers sort of outlook of kindness with other people. And that really comes across in the film. The time we spend with him, and again, in light of some of the troubling things that had happened to him,
Hmm.
it's just he's a testament to how, as you're describing, as how we should aspire to be in the world. In your time researching his life, we get to meet some people who were part of his life, some people who were after the fact and knew a lot about him. Were there particular things that you discovered in this journey that surprised you about getting to know Joybubbles? Just sort of give you hope for humanity in a way that we might not feel like is as evident as it could be right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot about like the analog telephone system and that being the first network before the internet and how it was like really like so pure. It really just was about connecting with other people, typically having like a one-on-one conversation with someone, like the intimacy of the phone. And it's so lost right now. I think we just kind of don't even know like what tech is anymore. Of course, it's bringing us together, but it's also pulling us apart. It's like a confusing time. But back then it was just the phone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
It really is. And getting to know him, I do want to let people know that Joy Bubbles is going to be premiering, congratulations, at the Sundance Film Festival. I think the first screening is going to be for the public on Monday, January 26th, the 6 p.m. That's in Park City at the Yarrow Theater. If you're in town, it'll also be screening a number of different times across the festival, Tuesday the 27th, Thursday the 29th, Friday the 30th, and so on. So be looking for this. It is such a refreshing portrait of someone who was unabashedly and unashamedly a kind person. And the people that were drawn to him, we see it throughout the film, people whose life he really did impact in significant ways. Again, another part of this story that deserves more attention is the sort of the legacy that he has left behind.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pioneer in the history of tech and certainly a part of the history of, hacking and technology. But then, he was Joybubbles. He was a kind person. And yeah, there's a lot in the film.
Now, this is your first feature-length documentary film as a director. I'm sure you've contributed to a lot of documentary films in your career, but this is your first. Just out of curiosity, when you got the word that your first film had been accepted into the Sundance Film Festival for 2026, just a general reaction from you as far as filmmaking and on a personal level, how did that feel for you?
Oh my God. I mean, I actually cried. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. And I was just so excited to have the audience of Sundance and the excitement of Sundance to, share Joybubbles with the world. I think
Yeah.
his story is more important than ever right now, and I hope people enjoy the experience of the film.
Well, based on my reaction, I'm sure that they will. And I think he will be embraced. And I mean, there's the Mr. Rogers, there's the Pee Wee Herman vibe, there's that
Oh
sort of
yeah.
the innocence of youth that he exuded throughout his life, and it was intentional. He put it out there for the world to enjoy, to embrace, to be a part of, and so the film really comes across as that. So congratulations on your work on Joybubbles.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We've been speaking with the director of Joybubbles, again, premiering at this year's Sundance Film Festival beginning on Monday, January 26th at a 6 p.m. screening at the Yarrow Theater. And you can go to the film festival website, Sundance Film Festival website, to find out about more of the screenings. Rachael J. Morrison, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you, Mike.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.